think we got a lot of people coming in. It's right at 6, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we are ready to go. Mike has his screen up, and we've got a lot of things ready for you tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm Lynn, and I'm the president of the Gulf Coast chapter. And we are so thrilled that you are here to help us celebrate this very special time, our very first anniversary celebration. So, as I said, things are going to run just a little differently tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to our resident, and I'm not going to say Two-Face. We were just making a joke about that.
Well, you see my
Mike, Mike, why don't you take it over and share just how things are going to go and what we're going to do.
Excellent. Well, tonight's a celebration, and Lynn's done so much for us. She showed me how to use AI. As you see, it has our 60th anniversary there. We got chapter of excellence. If you guys didn't know that, I think everybody does. There's been lots of emails, and of course, it's over the words. It didn't come out right with the AI picture I drew. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk about the legacy that we have, laughter, and learning a little bit. And I have a good friend from a long time ago who's with us here tonight. Mark Masters is actually a real comedian. He just doesn't fake to be like one like me. You guys see why I wouldn't do my day job to do this stuff, but he actually does this as his day job, and he's on with us. And you see his hands going up, and I think we're going over 5 years now, Mark. Are we knowing each other? And I bring him in when I need a ringer. And there's a reason I like Jeff and Mark, because they have the same hairstyle as me. So that's why I know they're good folks. Well, I'm going to control the slides, and what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a little bit. Well, welcome again. We're going to do a little bit of a celebration time. Got some ISPI fun with you with a little trivia, so you get to participate. Mark's going to sort of take it over right after I do this slide for you. He's going to also talk about humor performance. Besides being a comedian, when COVID came around, Mark really sort of pivoted because, they didn't have any comedy places open, and he really specialized in that. And that's how I met him. I met him through something called 1 Million Cups, and he just knocked out of the park there, worked with a think tank I've had, and I always like to bring him in to just talk about that. Then Lynn's going to come back and do some awards, and then Jeff and I'll hang out with you in the after hours, and I see some old friends that we can talk a little bit more from, maybe even some FSU friends. And I'm going to go ahead and just start in with the rules, and Mark knows this because he's done this before. He does all different kinds of presentation stuff, but I'll let you explain the rules, Mark, as you know them, and I'll be quiet and just say little comments if you want me to. And give it over to
All right. Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. Apologize if it's noisy. I'm in an airport, but I'm the master of ceremonies for this trivia game. So let's get through these rules quickly. You're going to get 4 questions sourced from the YouTube channel. No Googling. Be honest. Read, decide, and post. We read, you decide in less than a minute, and post it into the chat in Zoom. If anybody has trouble using the chat, let us know. The answer will be revealed. We'll share the answer. And then we'll do score time at the end. We'll tally and share your total score. You can chime in anytime. It's a live event. Be lively, and you might get bonus points.
And what are they trying for, Mark? I told Lynn this earlier. I've made a bumper sticker that says peak performance, and it's made with AI, and it talks about us getting the award. So everybody who wants a copy of that, they can text me or email me, and I will happily give it to them, especially if you're here tonight. So I'll make sure I get that out to everybody. I'll mail it to you guys. So thanks for being here.
Amazing.
All right, let's get it on going. There you go, Mark.
Question number 1. Are we ready? What is the purpose of ISPI? A, elevate performance research. Don't forget, you can answer it in the chat. B, conferences to spread the word. C, make global performance magic. D, connect with other performance pros. E, all of the above and more. We got answers coming in. Looks like a clean sweep. Jenny says she can't see all the options. Hopefully you could hear the options, Jenny. I don't know what's going on there. They're visible on my screen.
Error. It was
user error. Okay.
I'll admit
E
my
is
errors.
for error.
Sorry.
In this case.
I was trying to see if I could fix that. All right.
All right. I think we're just about. Are you got that tallied, Mike?
I am trying to tally it as we talk. Okay, we got it in there.
Okay.
I think everybody's there. We got our minute. And you know what the answer is?
Yes.
It is E, and everybody got it right. Everybody
yes. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Let's try it. Let's try another hard one.
All right. Question number 2, team. What is not true about our local ISPI chapter? A, one of our members won the Excellence in Outstanding Human Performance Intervention. B, our first president was Barack Obama. C, first to go virtual relaunched on May 24th, 2023. D, went from 12 to 62 members in the relaunch year. What is not true?
Mike, did you write these very difficult
Yes,
questions?
because this is about as corny as bad as I get. But actually, the Barack Obama question was pretty interesting for me because when we founded this ISPI chapter, that's when he spoke at ASTD. I don't know if you guys know that was when he was there. So I said, well, who can I put as president? And why not put a guy who just stopped being president? Yes, they're very corny, as you'll see. But I'm going to let Mark try and say with the comedy. I'll stop. All right.
Yeah, it's all good. All right, we're on to letter 3. You guys are killing this trivia. What letter is missing from this picture of Dr. Keller's motivational model? A is C, B is O, C is R, D is N, E is Y.
And I
We've
made
got some
that with
answers coming
AI.
in. A lot of AI.
The wonderful thing about AI is half the time you can't tell it's AI.
And John did say he wished he could be here tonight. He's as you know, he's getting a little bit older, and he said he will watch the video. And his wife said he forgot to tell her that he was supposed to be here, so she said he's not going to be there, but he's here in spirit. Randall got it. Thank you, Randall. At least somebody laughed at it. They're terrible.
All right, Mike, how you doing on that tally?
I think we got them all in. I'm going to go on to the next one if you got it right. Okay. Mark?
Okay, terrific. The answer was A, obviously. C, what networking and career, this is question 4, what networking and career boosting item did not happen? A, resume tips by Dr. Lynne using AI and Dr. Seuss lyrics. B, Evan Pressman gave out a teacher support book. C, we hosted a networking meetup locally. D, we saw mysterious performance terms translated into operational ones that landed a job. Which of these did not happen?
They are getting a little harder now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the YouTube channel had all the answers if you guys want to go back and watch them.
Oh boy, we've really slowed down.
I
Question
know,
4. People
yeah.
are
See,
people
they're
are-
like, oh, these are easy.
people are
These are really.
stuck.
And now people are watching the answer going,
Randall, I like your confidence. Very honest right there.
yeah, we did meet in person for C, as you guys are, most people are getting the one now.
Yeah, Jeremy jumped out there, and then everybody started to answer after Jeremy. So woohoo!
Wait, take the lead, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Well,
I
I think
I
Lynne
was
went
waiting.
first.
I was waiting to see if anybody caught on that our name says virtual community.
well, I mean, that you could insinuate that you meant virtual, since it is a virtual community of practice. You
That
do
is true.
host networking meetups.
I thought you were having a
Locally.
local one at ISPI.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Well, I guess we could say that. We met at the FSU thing, but I think we actually might try and do one in August, maybe August 2nd for Danacia's graduation. We talked about all driving over to Tallahassee and coming to see her walk. So that might be the first. But everything else actually did happen on there, which I was really impressed with. That we've done a lot of good things. And of course, my favorite was the top one. I can't believe she actually got to do limericks and Dr. Seuss stuff for resume building.
Oh no, I did this talk at ISPI and did the same Dr. Seuss. Someone there decided they would do Yoda. And man, it was so funny. It was great. So they one upped me in my own talk.
That's a good thing, though. You know, you always want to make people better. Better performance is what we're about. Well, we'll move on to the next one. I think that actually that was the last one. We just did 4. So, you know, sort of what happened, what were we doing? Mark, explain how you host, what you do, what you're thinking about, what's going on there, how you get the mics
Yeah,
on,
sure.
and then
So,
talk about it.
I'd love to. I love talking about humor, and not just because I sell comedy tickets for a living. Let's Let me just give you a general thesis about humor. I'll start with a fact from a Harvard Business Review story about laughter and how as we get older, we laugh less. Here are the statistics. When you're a baby, babies on average, this is from Harvard Business Review, they laugh 400 times a day. What a great day to be a baby. 400 times a day. When you hit the age of 35, you are laughing 15 times a day. That is a seriously steep drop off from 400 to 15. It gets worse. The Harvard Business Review study found that of those times you're laughing during your work days, the number is drastically smaller than on the weekends. As they said, work is a sober affair. People aren't laughing enough when they're working adults. And so a fair question would be, does that matter? And to frame this talk right now, I'm going to bring out one of my favorite quotes. It's from Mark Twain. It's education consists mainly of what we unlearn. Okay, and so what I propose to you is we're laughing less now that we're adults. We need to unlearn that behavior and laugh more. And I see some smiling faces. I see some skeptical faces. Let me tell you why we should be laughing more. There's science to this. There's magic to this. There's all kinds of stuff. We'll start with MIT, Harvard, and Stanford medical studies. Laughter lowers your blood pressure. That's a good thing. Laughter burns calories. Look at that. You can literally laugh your butt off. In an HBR report titled "The Benefits of Laughing in the Office," they said, quote, "It's no joke. We need to start prescribing humor as medication." Okay. And we'll get into some more science in a second, but I'm going to deviate here and tell you about some veterinary journals that I studied. Yes, veterinary journals about dog laughter. You may not have known this, but dogs laugh. It's a very distinct sound they make. It's how they communicate that they're playing and not really being aggressive. So dogs laugh. And here's what they found. The benefits of laughter are cross species. It's not just for humans, it's for dogs too. In a stressful kennel situation, they played a laughter soundtrack, a dog laughter soundtrack over the loudspeakers, and they found 3 things. The dogs played more, they became more social, and their stress levels plummeted. So laughter is helping dogs, laughter helps humans. In the American Journal of Physiology, they say that humor stimulates multiple physiological systems. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol and epinephrine, and it increases activation of the mesolimbic dopaminergic reward system. Humor stimulates goal-oriented motivation and long-term memory. What they say is the team that laughs together performs better together. The study about long-term memory is incredible. What they did was they took a whole semester of a college level class and they taught the same material, but in one of them, they told about a joke a minute while they were like contextual jokes about the material. At the end of the semester, all the students took their final exam. The students that took the funny version of the class, they all did about 20% better than the students that took the boring version of the class. If you're doing sales calls, if you're trying to get people to remember you, make them laugh. Laughing leaves an impression and it helps your long-term memory. So basically, in summary, what I've said today is that adults laugh a lot less than they could. As babies, we're laughing 400 times a day. Mark Twain taught us that education is unlearning bad behaviors. Not laughing as much as we used to is a bad behavior. And my thesis is that laughter is good because it's good for you. It's great health. That crazy sentence about mesolimbic dopaminergic reward systems, what does that mean? That means people who are doing hard drugs and harming their body are doing it because their brain is flooding with dopamine. It feels good. You can watch a clean comedian and laugh your butt off and get the same thing without the negative side effects. And your white blood cell count goes up, your stress hormones go down, your blood pressure goes down, all kinds of great benefits to laughing. And in performance studies, teams perform better when they laugh together. It's a great bonding effort. And so I'm ready to, like last night, I did a punk bar comedy show in San Jose, California. I'm all over the country. I'm driving to Kansas from Denver after I fly home tonight to do comedy shows. I do comedy all over the country. In a few weeks, I'll be driving to San Diego for a weekend, up to Oregon for a weekend, over to Washington State for a weekend, and back home. And because I should fire my agent, which is a joke because I don't have an agent, over the 4th of July, I'm doing 2 consecutive weekends in Arizona. It will be 125 degrees. So if you have questions for a comedian, questions about laughter, I'm here to answer them. Fire away. Let's hear it.
Does anybody else have some? Because I got some for people, because I think these are some of the things that Mark taught me. But if I'm not good at it, Mark, I do performance consulting, or I'm a performance person. I'm not good at I'm not good at being a comedian. How can I do this to try and leverage this stuff you just told me about? What are some techniques? Can you help me, please?
Yeah, sure. So if you're trying to inject humor into a business presentation, which we've established is a good thing, here are some cheat codes. Some ways to do that. One, I'd say be genuine, be yourself. People can detect when you're being CORNY. 2, and they're gonna laugh more if you're being genuine and sincere. 2, borrow memes. Why not? I go to a lot of business. I do a lot of things like this in offices, and people are posting memes that they found from the internet. But when I'm on stage, I can't borrow content. But when you're giving a presentation about the quarterly sales numbers, pop a meme into the, use some visual stuff, maybe an animated GIF. Do that. 3, hire an expert. You can get somebody to punch up they call it punch up work. It's basically adding jokes to a presentation. I have people email me presentations. I punch them up. You get other comics. I can refer you to comics if you're looking for like a specific niche. I know comics who are nuclear engineers on the side, all the way down to managing a sandwich restaurant. So if you have a specific area that you're interested in, teachers, I know a lot of teachers who are comedians. I can help you connect with a roast joke expert, stuff like that. So I think that's pretty much what I'd say. Be yourself, use some memes, hire an expert, and practice, obviously. If you give over the pandemic, I gave this like 10-minute stump speech that was kind of about getting started in comedy, the health benefits of laughter, and why I love doing comedy. And I gave it maybe 75 to 100 times. And I can tell you, by the time I hit the 40th time of giving it, it was so much better than the first time. From 40 to like 100, honestly, it didn't improve. Maybe it even got worse because I just got kind of bored, and I was not presenting it as with the same level of enthusiasm. But from 1 to 40, like every time I told it, I thought of a new joke to insert, and by the time I got to the 40th telling, it was just joke with information, so people could still remember it. All right, we got a question from Jenny. Mike, we can come back to you if you have another one in a second. Go ahead, Jenny.
I'm trying to help Mike break it up. So I'll talk about myself, and there's people on here who know me. I'm not very good with the jokes, and they can fall flat in the miscommunication. And then there's the concern that the clients won't appreciate it because you're giving a professional presentation. So what advice would you have to do a slow roll of adding in some humor and maybe ensuring it doesn't fall flat?
Yeah. Well, again, practice. If you can try it on some peers, some friends, I have a writing group as a comedian. Maybe you find a PowerPoint group, and you could be in different industries, but you share your presentation with somebody else and get some feedback. There's a academic theory about jokes called the benign violation theory. The idea is, in short, there's a whole book written about this, but benign violation. The idea is that things are funny when they're violations, meaning like something is offensive, but they have to be benign enough. Like if you're telling a joke about an old woman and she falls out a 50-story building, to her horrific death, that's not funny. But if she slips on a banana and, you know, maybe it's a 35-year-old and they pop right back up, that's hilarious. So don't be offensive. You know, you don't want to, you certainly don't want to be in front of clients and roast them and tell them they're bad in any way, but you can be funny in a clever and sweet kind of way without being offensive. So I would say, you know, run your material ahead of time, and volume helps. So write 10 jokes in a 10-minute presentation, give it to a group of trusted peers. 5 of them aren't going to be any good. They're going to fall flat. And maybe when you say falling flat, like what I think of in comedy terms, if a comedian asked me, hey, my jokes are falling flat, how do I avoid that? I would say disguise the punchline. So like when the most cringy thing in comedy is when somebody's like, da 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 da, and they pause for laughter and there's no laughter. So a trick I would give you is don't pause for laughter. People can still hear and laugh. So like move on to the next thing and just hope that people laugh. And if they don't, you'll know it, but nobody else will. If you don't stop for the laugh, then people, you know, you won't look like you fell flat, if that makes sense.
It does. I guess the other idea would be, or if you are stopping, say, are there any questions? So it's not like you stopped, but there is a stop.
Sure, exactly. Yeah, that's a great strategy. Who else has questions? Be brave. Where are all the cats? Where are all the animals? I don't see. That's the whole fun of a Zoom call. Roberto, there's one across the. Okay, all right. No, Roberto.
Say something funny.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, Finding Nemo, the clownfish. It's like say something funny, a joke.
Do you want you to
Are
say
you talking
something
to your
funny?
cat, Roberto? We can't hear you because you're muted.
But I think
it was intentional. It was intentional.
Okay.
No, so you say cat, and I was pointing at somebody because I know somebody owns cat in these, right? So I was pointing at that person. So yeah, my question will be because I'll be super honest, I will say I am bad at making jokes. Of course, I'm not gonna put that into my presentation because it will go the wrong way very easy because I have pretty dark, not pretty dark, but I have a dark humor, and I don't want to mix those two, you know. And
sure.
How will you manage that?
Well, I mean, you can borrow jokes, right? Like here's a street joke. A street joke is a joke that pretty much always works unless you're really terrible at timing. But almost anybody can make a street joke work. Like here's one. What's the difference between a comedian and a large pizza? The pizza can feed a family of 4. It's a nice, clean, easy joke. You're making a presentation about pizza. Holly's loving it. You know, that was simple. You could tell that same joke. You would get the same reaction. You can find jokes like that online, and they don't have to be offensive. Like people, like when you go to a comedy club and you're having a couple cocktails, a lot of the jokes are offensive and they're very funny. But that's not the kind of humor you want to bring into the boardroom.
That's
but that pizza joke, you know, that took 7 seconds to tell that joke, and almost everybody here laughed. So it's not rocket science if you get a good joke.
Yeah, sometimes being starting basic will work instead of just trying to build a whole comedy inside of a presentation. So yeah.
Yeah. So Holly posted in the chat. You're welcome, Roberto. That if she tries to be funny, it doesn't work. And there's a very Zen thing about it. It's what I was saying to Jenny about don't pause for laughter. Just kind of slip it in there, move on. People will laugh. And over Zoom, it can be very difficult. Like some of you, your laughter when I told that pizza joke, it was just like a little crinkle of the eyes or a slight smile. Holly, great laugher. You can come on tour with me, Holly. Love to have you in the audience anytime. You were muted, but I could still see like your shoulders moving and you were actively laughing. So your white blood cell count is through the roof right now. Congratulations, Holly.
Yeah, I'm such an introvert. People who know me know I'm not an introvert.
I figured that that's sarcasm. That's a kind of humor. I was able to detect that. Any other questions? Anything else? Let's see. We got a comment from Jenny.
Holly just told a great joke by saying she was an introvert. It's just, it was a bit esoteric. You'd have to know her.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the tricks with stand-up comedy. That's what makes comedians impressive, is they can make strangers laugh. Almost everybody can make their group of friends laugh because you have inside jokes and you know a lot about each other. So that's one of the challenges. So yeah, there are, Jenny's talking about different contexts for jokes at work. Sometimes things are supposed to be silly and fun, and it's a happy hour presentation. And sometimes you're giving a presentation about layoffs. That's not something you really want to inject a ton of humor into. So you do want to be considerate and thoughtful where you're putting your jokes. All right, Jenny's got her hand up.
And maybe Lynn can help with this one because it's going to be AI. So how about using AI to bring in some humor? I know like we do Teams meetings all the time. So like I might tell my team to use their avatars and they have all those silly pre-programmed gestures you can do and stuff like that. Thoughts about that for kind of creating humor, but keeping it professional?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super familiar with AI. I've seen a lot of examples of AI trying to be funny and it just doesn't work. It falls flat. The best way to get a laugh is basically by poking fun at if the AI is so smart, why did it tell this dumb joke? And that pizza joke was a killer one, you know, what in comparison. So I would encourage you to try it. If you have the tools at your disposal, give it a shot, but give it your own sniff test. Read the joke out loud yourself. If it sounds terrible, don't use it just because AI generated it. Pay a comic
$20 I wasn't talking about
joke.
Necessarily the joke being generated by AI, though I do like the one that Danica put in chat. I was thinking of like, instead of me being on screen like this in Teams, I can create an avatar that looks like me, and then I can make it do different gestures during the presentation. It has weird ones like where you're going like this and going.
That's
like
more
this.
AV, so audio visual. So audio visual tricks, they can be funny. Yeah, video, media, audio, avatars, which is basically like advanced animation, like real-time animation. That can all be funny. All right, what's this joke? I don't even get this joke. Somebody's gonna have to explain it to me. I can't take my dog to the park because the dog. Oh, I get it.
It's like that's like a joke I would use, but I think bad jokes work if you make fun of yourself.
I get for buying a pure.
And that gives people permission to laugh, right?
The timing was wrong on the typed out version. It needed a space between pure and bred, or I'm just dumb.
But I think even if you try, if you're bad at it, I mean, Mark, what do you think about that? If you try, even if you're bad at it, it gives permission for other people to try too. And I know I'm bad at it, and that's what I've always thought. It lightens up the group to say it's okay to try some humor. It doesn't have to be great.
Yeah, I will say for sure that if you're good at it, you can open up a cold audience. You can introduce a lot of warmth into a cold audience if you get them laughing and moving in your direction. I think if you have like a mediocre to a warm audience and you're trying but failing, it's going to help things. I think if you have a cold audience and you're just being corny and people aren't loving it, they're just going to use that as an excuse to maybe love you less. So, which is all the more reason to practice and own, hone your material and craft solid jokes. What else we got? Anybody with their camera off got questions? You can type them into the chat.
Yeah, there's one from Danica. That's a good one. What makes you laugh out loud?
Where do I see that? Mark, you made me laugh out loud, so I guess it worked. Was that a question from you, Mike? What makes me laugh
what makes you laugh out loud? Where do you go?
I mean, a lot of things. I laugh all the time. I love Gary Goldman. He's a comedian that not a lot of people know, but he's prolific. He has if you're looking for something to watch, it's like 5 minutes. Look up 50 states, 50 states. Gary Goldman, probably the Conan clip will come up. It's the best 5 minutes of comedy I've ever seen. It's so smart and funny, and I could watch it 150 times. I watch it 10 times in a row and I will laugh almost every time. It is so impressive. It's so good. 50 Gary Goldman, 50 states. Also me failing all the time makes me laugh. That's a big thing in humor. You gotta be ready to fail all the time. Not all the time, but like 80% of the time. And you know, I'm 1 for 1 with you guys. I'm batting 100% with my pizza joke. But I've tried that joke a 1,000 times, so I know it's gonna work. But when you got new material in a punk bar last night, trust me, I was not batting 100%. That was it was a bloodbath last night. But you got to have a good attitude and get back up and try again. Roberto, you got something?
Yeah, I'm saying that when you develop that mental velocity, you can just pick jokes from stuff that is happening right now. For example, you having that bloodbath that day. Now I guess that you can take jokes out of that situation, out of that experience, you know. So
Yeah, exactly. There's always something to laugh at.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, Mark, do you have any closing thoughts? We're getting towards the end of the time, so I want to let you. I don't want you to miss your flight. I want
Time
you.
flies when you're having fun.
Actually, Mike, I'm going to interrupt you both real quick. Randall did post a question in the
let's get
chat real quick before Mark makes
most
his
memorable
closing.
joke or moment of humor shared in a professional setting. It's so funny. I don't know why this popped into my head, but when I was in college, I had a professor who was giving a lecture on calculus of all things, and he had been to the dentist that day, and he had had a cavity filled, and he was drooling the entire lecture, and it was the funniest thing that happened in all of college, and he didn't realize it until like 45 minutes into the lecture. He'd been drooling the entire time. It's not really a professional. I mean, school is kind of a professional setting. That was the Randall. That was who's Randall? Where's Randall at? Oh,
still
Randall.
hilarious,
Nice.
though.
Good,
Still hilarious.
good question. I love it. That's a great one. Yeah, I don't think I'll come up with something better than that. It's a pretty good visual. It's pretty good. And you can just imagine, he was like 68 years old, just like tall, lank. He looked like Frankenstein kind of, and then adding in the drool. And it was maybe like our 3rd class of the semester. It wasn't like we knew him really well. It was, oh man. All right. Well, you guys are amazing. I think you're going to perform great. Keep laughing. I'm not kidding. You can also just laugh. Like they do laughter yoga where you just laugh like a crazy person. You'll feel better if you laugh for 60 seconds. Just like go somewhere where nobody can hear you or people can hear you and just laugh for 60 seconds. You'll feel a weight come off your shoulders. So I'll say one last thing if I can in closing. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you want to like follow me on YouTube or join my email newsletter or anything like that, all free things you can do. I just put a little link in the chat, and I hope to see you in a comedy club someday or a dingy basement bar. I don't discriminate on places, or even a corporate boardroom. I'd love to maybe give a presentation. So I want to thank Mike for having me here, and I heard Mike has told me how impressive your group is, and congratulations on all your successes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Have fun.
Mark. You have a great day.
Thanks.
We're going to go back to Lynn, and I think she's going to take over the slides and put one up for me because when we're talking about impressive things, I'm going to talk about Lynn because you know, she took her EDD and turned it into reality in ways that I could have never dreamed of. It was amazing. It was just that's why we're sort of all here together today, and it's going to be a pretty big honor to give her award today for you guys. It is from Holly and Nicole. They sort of signed it for us, but it is the Steadfast Service Award, and I think that's the first one to give out. I've got some books from ISPI here, but I've met up with her in person, found a friend, highly recommend her for a job. She just she makes dreams turn into reality, because I always wanted to have a good chapter that was good to be part of after ATD sort of fell apart, and she did that, and she's just somebody you can depend on. So I'm happy to turn the mic over to her and let her give her out the rest of the awards, because she deserves the best one in the first one. There you go.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone. That's very sweet. And I found out about it. I found out of it just before the meeting. Because funny story, Nicole couldn't be here and she messaged me and said, "You have to give yourself an award tonight." I was like, oh, really? I'm getting an award. But no, Mike stepped up, and he gave it to me. And yes, he's a good friend, and I'm a little bit tongue-tied about it. So thank you, and I'm going to move on to the next thing.
I
I'll be
tried to
more
not like
confident.
make you that way because I told you I was going to say beforehand. But, so I got
Well,
it's always frustrating to make that to a person, then they have to go speak for the rest of the 30 minutes. Well, that's not fun. So sorry.
no, it's fine. I'll move on. I can talk about other people much easier than I can talk about myself. So let's
I didn't start
jump
weeping at
forward.
least.
Before I continue, I want to give the chapter wants to give 2 awards to very important people. You know, our chapter, we're celebrating our 1st anniversary, which is the 1st anniversary from when we relaunched a year ago. This group actually started many years officially affiliated in 2018, but the dream for the chapter was even further back than that. And there are 2 people that are a part of our group that Holly Hanley, you can see she's our champion. She's our cheerleader. She tells us bad jokes all the time. She's just a hoot, as she would say herself. She's been there. She hasn't been with the group as long as the person that we're going to recognize next, but he was there on those early days when that affiliation agreement was first signed and never gave up on it, stayed with the group and stayed with the chapter. So, and she's part of the reason that I came to work on this project. She and Dr. Hastings were the 2 that approached me and presented the option of the Gulf Coast chapter as my dissertation project. I completed my doctorate at UWF, which has a dissertation in practice instead of a traditional dissertation. And the one requirement for that is that you conduct a performance improvement project on a real world organization. My organization was the Gulf Coast chapter. As I said, it was affiliated in 2018. It was the dream really began, the vision began with Dr. Hastings, and she had worked for, I don't remember how many years she had worked to try and bring this chapter that focus was on aspiring and practicing performance improvement professionals and instructional designers to really give them a community, a professional home. And so in 2018, that was realized, but then so things just happened and it didn't move forward until they came to me in the early part of 2021 and presented this project. And so we took it on and did a full, well, almost 3 years of performance improvement analysis, followed the whole PIHBT model, which ultimately led to relaunching this chapter. And there's a lot that goes into it. If you want to read all of that, I think I have about a 300-page document that if you just need a good nap, you're welcome. I'll send you a copy of it. But Dr. Hastings and Dr. Hanley, Holly and Nancy, now that I've graduated, I just said her name for the first time. So
That's right.
Oh, that's really hard. You 2, we want to just give you a round of applause and offer you a chance to share before we move forward with the rest of tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that. Thank you very much. We worked at this for a very long time and it didn't become what it needed to be until Lynne stepped in and put 3 years of very hard work into it. I've read that 300-page document more than once, and so has Holly.
Yes.
We know what she did, and it's just so incredible. And everybody else that's here in this room, the people that served on our steering committees, and this would not have come to life without everybody that's here. So thank you so much for making our dream finally come true.
Thank you both.
Thank you for dreaming it. Thank you for starting it.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It's before the chapter I wasn't a member, and I started it as a completely external consultant outside of the group. But by the time I don't remember when the switch flipped, and I realized this was no longer an external project, it was now a passion project of mine as well. I'm certain it was after data collection, because otherwise that would have introduced a lot of bias into my data. But by the time we relaunched, I was as much a part of it as anyone. And look where we are now, 1 year later. So let's talk a little bit about if my clicker works. There we go. So as I mentioned, we started officially affiliated with the International Society for Performance Improvement, also known as ISPI or ISPI. But the chapter didn't move forward until we launched this project. Since that time, there's just been a lot of changes, and there's so much background. I struggled to try and think about what I could say in just a few minutes that would give you a really good look at where we've been. And Dr. Hastings and Dr. Hanley shared some, which fills in a little bit of the blanks, but there's a lot of history that goes on to it. One piece of history is why ISPI? Well, ISPI meant a lot to both of our two founders. I remember Dr. Hastings telling me that she had been to various conferences, and she wanted something that was for her students that would focus on practice, the actual practical day-to-day work of performance improvement. And that place was ISPI. And for Dr. Hanley, you can see, I don't have my little laser pointer, but on that top left side, those folks in the white shirts, there's a tall, dark-headed person to the, well, it's on my right side of the screen. That's Dr. Hanley. Was it 2013 or 2014?
Darker hair and a lot less gray and a lot less wrinkles.
2014.
2014.
2014. Yep. They were part of the case study competition, and she continued, participated in a couple of competitions and then coached as well. So this history with ISPI is rich. You can see at the bottom, there's another group that was a case study competition group with, is that Roger Kaufman, I think?
That's Roger Kaufman. And
oh my gosh, it is Roger. That's
yeah.
On the far side, there is Megan Sauer, who was part of bringing this all to life on the steering committee.
Yes, she is a steering committee member. Standing next to her is Tiffany Brown, who is a member of that UWF cohort that I graduated in December. So there's just a lot of connections for us there. And you can, on the right side are three, that's the top two, that's Amy and myself. We're presenting at this conference, this past ISPI conference. And then Dr. Hanley at the bottom that's the Nashville conference in 2022. So we've had, connection within the organization as well. Then there's a group photo, and then the group photo on the bottom, that's when we received some very special awards. You can see Dr. Hanley, and I'm next to her in the white jacket, and there's Amy in the blue jacket. We're all standing up there. We've just been recognized as a chapter of merit, and soon to receive the chapter of excellence. We'll get to that. But we have a rich history with this organization, and there's a big dream behind it. And I think that's, for me, there's a lot of things to celebrate, but just the realization of that vision and the opportunity to continue that legacy, to continue to champion this group, that means so much to me and so much to all of you as well. So
Lynn, can I add a quick story here before you?
Sure.
That picture down in the bottom with Roger Kaufman, those are our students from the 2019 ISPI competition that Dr. Handley and I served as their faculty sponsors. I will say that Dr. Handley did the bulk of the work. That this was after before they were awarded as the winners, but after they had done their presentations. And Dr. Kaufman came over and talked to them for a very long time, and he asked to have his picture taken with them. And then they came
Wow.
over to us and said, "Who's that old guy we were talking to?"
Roger would appreciate that. He would appreciate
Yeah.
that.
It's like, oh my goodness.
You know, he came over for our ASTD chapter when we got a chapter of the programs, and he did for $1. He was a great guy.
Wow. Yeah, he is.
If anyone would like to share for just a minute about ISPI or the chapter and your experience with it, you can share, or you can just type it in the chat. Either one, if you're not really a camera and microphone person. I want to give you a minute to just to share your feelings and thoughts if you want to.
Well, Lynn, not specifically to your chapter, but to your university. Actually, ISPI kind of is what drove my project as well. When I got my master's degree,
That's
my
right.
mother, for all of you who don't realize she's my mother, was my client at the time. And after the first case study competition that our students participated in, we realized virtually they needed team building skills. So my project was to create an online team building experience before they started the case study competition. That was the first year after they went through my program that the university won their first case study competition, 2010, right?
2010. Yeah, our first team failed miserably. I never worked with such a dysfunctional group. It was very frustrating. So Jenny came on board and helped us lay the foundation for how do you work together online. Because in all of these competitions, our students met each other for the first time at the conference. Every bit of it was virtual.
Well, I'm so happy you guys were able to turn it to a virtual one. I think that's been the success that's really helped it, because doing the in-person things was so hard. And that's, I think, what I had the ATD group go down, is because we just couldn't continue to meet in person. And that was sort of expected. So ISPI has adapted well, and you guys, you really saw the vision and embraced it. It's worked very nicely.
All right, checking a bunch of jokes in the chat. You guys, come on.
Jeff's decided he's the king of jokes today and is just going to keep them rolling.
I can't wait for after hours. This is going to be fun tonight.
The comment about, we can't tell she's your mom because of the red hair. It's like, yeah, she wouldn't want to be equated to this red hair.
Now, I have a thing
We're just
about
envious
hair
that you
color.
have hair.
I'm opposed to hair colors that cannot be found in nature. And that's one, Jen.
Oh, I understand it is, but it's my hair, so we're running with it. Everybody else loves it. You just
There
go,
you
okay,
go.
Mom.
But I can tell you relate because you're side by side on my screen and it looks perfect. I'll get a
I
picture.
know.
It actually looks like you guys have the same hair color a little bit. You know, if I gotta get a picture of that. That's terrible.
Oh my goodness.
Nancy's like, move me somewhere else on your screen.
I think
Oh,
I've lost control completely. Randall, you have your
think
hand
so.
raised. Please save us. Please save us.
Yeah, so I'm very new to the group. This is my third semester as a student at UWF in the program. And I just hearing this whole conversation of how the chapter got together, kind of brings it home for me, because I get to enjoy the fruits of the labor. But I can definitely have a testimony. I haven't been here long, but just in the few, maybe couple months that I've been involved, all you guys have reached out to me, made it very personal, very welcoming, and a lot of opportunities have been coming my way just as a student. So I really appreciate that. And just thank you to everybody, and thanks for this organization and just what it means.
Thank you, Randall. And we are thrilled to have you. It's genuine. Mark was talking about being genuine. And that's one of the things I love about this group too, is it truly is a family. We're not always dysfunctional, but we are a family when Mike is not around. But it is unique. When I came down, I'm so off, but okay, we're just going to share. I came down to Florida for my graduation, and Mike lives near UWF, and he's like, hey, let's get together. Let's get together. This is just some guy I know him online, right? So of
I
course
didn't bring a
say,
van.
yeah.
I was fine.
When we
Brought
met,
toys and candy.
he came and he met with me and my daughter-in-law and my little granddaughter at a little pizza place. And it was like we were the best of friends and we just hadn't seen each other in a while. That's just the strength and the power of this organization. You know, we are from all different places. Not all of us are in the office next door to someone, but we still develop bonds that are just as strong as if we did live on the same street or went to a physical location for our meetings. So that's my piece for that. And I'll move us ahead. I see it's 6:50. Somebody should have already been dinging me on time. So this past year, we've done a lot of things. We've had a number of events. Our first event, our relaunch, was with Dr. John Keller. We've also hosted Dr. Carl Binder, and just a very informal evening with Dr. Binder was a lot of fun, and he stayed and talked and shared with all of us a lot of stories and just wisdom from his past. We had 2 Grow Your Network events that were very popular, very well attended. Some of the people who participated are on with us today. The first one focused on, how to build a networking toolkit. The second one talked about how to nourish that network. And we had someone for performance improvement and someone from instructional design for those 2 events. We also had, kicking off this year, a Career Compass event, which was one of our most attended events. We had a wonderful panel. Again, some of those presenters are here tonight with us, and it was just really great. All different perspectives from different industries shared their tips and tricks and how to get into the field, or if you're in the field, how to upskill or to expand your careers. From that, we launched a monthly informal gathering known as the Career Cafe, and we've had 2 events so far. The first one was the AI powered career building, which we talked about earlier, and then the second one was an emerging trends conversation with Chris Skis. We have some additional events coming up. I think our next event is going to be on how to take your academic writing and craft it into things that can be used professionally for job applications or things such as that. And then there are I know Nicole is not able to be with us tonight, and this is kind of she's the lead on this project, but there are a number of additional things that are coming down the pipe, as well as a special evaluation event with some guest speakers that he's working on that for us. So we've just got a lot of cool things that are coming up. And who knows, maybe we're going to have a comedy workshop. I think that's what I'm going to push for. Have Mark come back and just do a workshop for us. I'm looking at the chat. June the 4th, yes, Dr. Hastings and Jeff are going to be doing the June the 4th Career Cafe, and that's the translate your academic writing into the real world writing. So we attended the conference. There are 3 ISPI members, our Gulf Coast chapter members on your screen. Amy presented with one of her business partners, Nick Gummo, excellent presentation on human-centered design. And then Dr. Hanley and I and Amy presented the story of this chapter from surviving to thriving. And then, of course, I did the AI career building. But, it's pretty significant that Dr. Hanley and Dr. Hastings have presented, but now as we continue to move this chapter forward in this new era, there are 2 additional people that are presenting, and you never know. Next year, I hope some of you will come along with us and go to wherever, maybe Orlando, and present at this conference. I mean, they're open to all different types of people presenting. Jeff, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
I'm just a proxy hand for Roberto because he had a question in the chat.
Okay. Oh, yes, I see it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't want to cut you off, so
No.
I was listening, but I have a few questions. Like 2 slides ago, you were sharing some events, and it was kind of small on my screen. I couldn't spot if that was gonna be online or face to face or.
Yeah, those were from the last year. All of the ones that I just presented with either last year or this year.
Okay.
So our next one that's coming up is June the 4th,
4.
which
Okay.
will be a career cafe event. And it will be, they should, within the next week, sorry, there's a fly flying right in front of my face. Why didn't I come up with a joke about that? They'll be sending out some registration information on that. So if you want to just send me a direct message with your email address, I'll make sure that you get that.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. And thank you, Lynn.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, Amy, come join us at the conference. It is so much fun. We had a blast. Absolutely. All right, so let's move along. And of course, congratulations. Amy won that Human Performance Intervention of ISPI Award of Excellence for Outstanding Human Performance Intervention. That's a lot to say, for her human-centered design project with the VA. And then our chapter was named Chapter of Excellence in Programming for this past year, which is really, really significant. And we were so proud to accept it. Yeah, it was just really cool being there. So see, come next year to the conference with us, because I promise you, we're going to apply for additional awards, and you'll get to come stand up on stage with us then too, which will be really cool. All right, so we have grown. We added 50 new members, 12 volunteers. We've elected new officers. There's a little bit of demographic breakdown, which I know you're probably thinking, I don't want to see data, but I wanted to show you this because look at that. A lot of people automatically think, oh, you've got so many, you get this UWF connection, so you're all going to be UWF. No, look, we have corporate, academic, students, people, military, government related work, instructional design and performance improvement, consulting, to the age breakdowns. Those who are typically, I heard this at the conference that we need more younger people. Everybody's over 50. Well, not in our group. We're only 19% of the group. So our strongest numbers there are in the 31 to 40-year-old set. So this is really important. And I think Holly said earlier, everybody was wanting to talk to me at the ISPI conference, and they were. They wanted to know, how do we get people? How do we do this? And I told them the same things that you've told us all night long: community, family, acceptance, just creating this place where we can all be ourselves, talk shop, where everybody talks the same language. I mean, this sounds like a bad commercial for the old Cheers TV show, where everybody knows your name. Yes, I'm over 50, so I know that, but okay. That's what's special about our chapter. Before we end up,
You make me start weeping now.
I have to recognize, as Dr. Hastings said, this wasn't a solo project. It wasn't a trio project. It was a group project. This list is all of our volunteers, steering committee members, committee chairs, everybody who has stepped up and has said, yes, I believe in this group, I believe in this vision, and I want to be a part of it. So I am most grateful for you all. So let's just take a minute, give a virtual hand clap or do the golfers clap, if your mic is on like mine. Thank you all. If you want to be a part of it and to volunteer, we'll have that information up for you at the end. We'd love to have you come along and join us. It's a lot of fun. We're all a little bit crazy, so that makes it even better. And as promised, if you want to join us, you can just scan that QR code, or we'll put the link in the chat. I'd also love to have your feedback. It's not a long survey at all. Probably won't take you more than 2 minutes, just a few questions. So if you would share that with me, I would be most grateful. And then, of course, the important information about how if you want to get in touch with us or connect online, those are listed there as well. Now, before we jump to the after hours, which I'll let Mike and Jeff talk about in just a second, we have a very special video that Randall made for us that just highlights what has happened for us this last year. So without further ado,
Well, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. I think it's fantastic that the Gulf Coast chapter is going ahead full steam.
Congratulations on your first anniversary, Gulf Coast, coming from Babs.
Lynn, congratulations on your first anniversary. Please keep up the good work. This is something you can be very proud of. So keep going forward.
Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. We all wish you the best.
Hi everyone, my name is George Gu. I'm the president of ISPI. Congratulations on your first anniversary. I hope we will do more in the greater ISPI family and community. Congratulations again.
all right.
That was great.
Yes.
Very
thank
skilled,
you.
Randall.
Thanks. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yes, it was absolutely, I loved it. I loved what you did with it. All right, that concludes this part of our celebration. And so now, if you have